Sure. Jerry Abrahams,
Here.
Cindy Butts, Alexander Dom is not able to be with us this morning. Wendy Clark, Phil DeFranzo,
Here.
Heidi DeWeingart,
Here.
Kelly Gosselin,
Here.
Tim Hodges,
Here.
Kathy McKinnon,
Here.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Here.
Commissioner Perez,
Here.
Franklin Perry,
Nick,
Sarah Sanders,
Good morning. It's Daryl Hill, Deputy Treasurer. I'll be standing in today's meeting for Treasurer Whitten.
thank you. Lisa Tepper Bates,
Here.
Greg Ugalde,
Here.
Cindy Butts, Wendy Clark. You have a quorum in attendance for the meeting.
Thank you, Dawn. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. March 31st today, last day of the month. Very exciting about many things that we're doing. With that, I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is 10:03. And the first item on our agenda is public comments. Dawn, if you can please proceed with that.
Of course. This is the only opportunity on the agenda for the public to provide comments. If you would like to provide a comment, please unmute yourself and state your name. To ensure that everyone has the opportunity, comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Hearing no comments, the public comment period has now ended.
Thank you, Dawn. Before I will have Nandini to give her report. I want to welcome our new board member, Phil DeFranzo. Phil, would you? Phil, could you introduce yourself and just give us a brief
Sure.
introduction on who you are?
My name is Phil DeFranzo. I'm president and founder of Norcom Mortgage. We're a Connecticut-based mortgage company. We sell and service loans to CHFA. I'm a former member of the National Mortgage Bankers Association Board of Directors and was the chairman of the board of the Residential Board of Governors for the National MBA also. So,
Welcome, Phil.
born and raised in Connecticut.
Yay. I'm saying yay, but I wasn't born or raised in Connecticut. But Connecticut is my home, so yeah. Thank you, Phil. Nandini, could you give your report, please?
Great. Good morning, members of the board and Madam Chair. And welcome, Phil. I look forward to working with you. There is a lot going on, as the commissioner mentioned. We are going to be launching My Home CT, which is the federal foreclosure prevention program, in a few weeks. We're going to be able to announce a launch date very soon. Currently, pretty much everybody in the authorities involved, except for a small fraction of folks, are working day and night to get the user portal and processing of the applications. Right now, we're doing a lot of outreach to towns and municipalities through elected officials. We're using traditional outreach methods. We're going to be doing some media, advertising, as well as connections through local community organizations and faith-based organizations to get the word out. And we're expecting, there's a lot of interest. People are already signed up through our website, and so we're hoping to have a strong showing when the program is launched. The board retreat, as you know, is scheduled for May 18th. We are putting some finishing touches on the agenda. We're expecting The morning to be consisting of an overview of the authority, including a market update and a housing needs assessment update, and then followed by an afternoon less structured session with hopefully some deep dives. I want to give a big thank you to the commissioner, of course, Lisa and Jerry for their assistance in helping us craft an agenda. In other news, we are going to be starting up the third annual developer engagement process, which is the sort of the mechanism by which we encourage sponsors for multifamily deals to bring forward their deals, even if they're in concept form, for discussion and for pipeline development. And it's been a very successful program. People have appreciated the ability to discuss their deals with us in early stages and for us to give them feedback. One of the changes this year is we are creating a portal, a user interface that is a little bit more streamlined, allows DOH and CHFA to have both of their sets of needs and requirements on one interface, and for there to be some automation with respect to the information collected. And finally, I just want to share some statistics with you. And this was in the ED report. It's a strong indicator of the amount of work we've done over the last year compared to prior years. We saw a significant increase in the procurements and contracting that we've done in 2021 versus 2020, 2019, 2018. And it's really a testament to the fact that we've had to really rise to the occasion, managing new programs, putting out solicitations and bids with respect to our strategic plan efforts, and really using all of the tools, including vendors, to respond to disruptions caused by the pandemic. So with that, I will be happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Nandini? Well, we have a quiet crowd today. All right, thank you, Nandini. Moving on, Finance Committee, we do not have any actions, but anyone wants to report or anything that the board needs to be aware of, Hazim or Sandra?
We did provide an update to committee regarding the sale that we had. It's the first sale for calendar year 2022, and it was for single family. The sale went well, while we did face some headwind due to the anticipated rising interest rate along with the geopolitical tension in Europe. The team got together and was able to allocate all the bond. So it was a job well done to the team and to the syndicate. And then we also provided an update to the committee regarding the LIBOR transition that was part of the federal omnibus spending bill, and then provide some highlights regarding our monthly financial position and our portfolio.
Thank you, Hazim. Any questions? All right. Moving on, as Nandini said, the staff, CHFA and DOH has been very busy in trying to get projects to the finish line and make sure that we can produce the units that we need. As we all know, the housing market is pretty tight. We have a lot of families that are in need of deep affordable units. And to that end, the Mortgage Committee has several resolutions that will be presented, but I want to thank the staff trying to be creative in trying to eliminate barriers so that we can move these projects along. Masuda, you will be presenting the resolutions from the Mortgage Committee.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. I apologize in advance. I'm recovering from a respiratory thing, so my voice may be going in and out on you, but I apologize in advance. So the first action request before you is Brookside Commons in Waterford. The board is being asked to approve a first mortgage taxable construction loan not to exceed $7,265,000 with a term of 24 months at a rate not to exceed 3%, interest only during construction, as well as a permanent loan for $1,935,000 at a rate not to exceed 5.28% with a term of 35 years to Kohanzi Partners, which is a entity that's formed by HF3 Group, who's serving as the developer on this transaction. Additionally, the board is being asked to approve a subordinate permanent mortgage using CHFA's Opportunity Fund for up to $1 million at 1%. Payments will be partially deferred, payable with 25% of available cash flow in a term of 37 years. Brookside Commons is a 9% tax credit award that was approved by the board in the 2021 round. This development will have 40 units serving households at 25%, 50%, 80%, as well as some market rate units in Waterford, which is a high opportunity area. The affordability in this deal will be in place for 50 years. The vote in mortgage committee was unanimous. We have staff available, and I would welcome mortgage committee or others to provide any comments as you consider this request. So with that said, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Masuda. Can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none.
Chair, if I may, this is Lisa. I just want to
Go ahead, Lisa.
highlight something that we discussed in the mortgage committee, and that is the fact that this is a really good time for this particular development, in that, as members of the board may be aware, there is a particularly acute housing shortage in this area, given the expansion at Electric Boat. And, worthwhile to mention that this will be, I think, very supportive of the population coming in to fill those jobs at Electric Boat. So just wanted to flag that, and thank you, Masuda, and your team for bringing this to fruition.
Thank you, Lisa. Any other comment? Dawn, could you do the roll call, please?
Jerry Abrahams,
Aye.
Cindy Butts, Wendy Clark, Phil DeFranco,
Aye.
Heidi DeWeingart,
Aye.
Kylie Goslin,
Yes.
Tim Hodges,
Aye.
Kathy McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
Commissioner Perez,
Yes.
Franklin Perry, Lisa Tepper Bates,
Aye.
Greg Ugalde.
Yes.
The vote passes unanimously.
Motion carries. Thank you, Dawn.
Madam
Masuda,
Chair,
could you yes.
Treasurer Wooden's designee was not called.
Dawn, instead of,
My apologies, Daryl Hill.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you for letting us know. Ms. Suda, could you proceed with the second resolution?
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. The next resolution before you is the approval to issue tax exempt bond proceeds to fund a first mortgage construction loan for approximately $13.4 million, term of 24 months at a rate not to exceed 4.6%, interest only during construction, as well as a first mortgage permanent loan for approximately $3,398,000 at a rate not to exceed 4.6% over a term of 40 years to New Kensington Square 2 Limited Partnership. This is an entity that's formed by the community builders. Additionally, staff is asking the board to approve a subordinate mortgage for up to $1.5 million, 40 42-year term at a rate not less than 1%, with deferred principal and interest payment due at maturity. A combination of the opportunity fund or recycled funds will be used to fund the subordinate mortgage. This proposed financing is going to support the preservation and renovation of a 96-unit Section 8 property in New Haven. This development is serving households who are earning at or below 60% of area median income. This property is also going to benefit from much needed capital repairs totaling approximately $124,000 per unit. As you may be aware, New Haven is experiencing a lot of growth. This particular neighborhood is going through changes in the importance of being able to preserve the housing stock in this neighborhood, but also addressing a lot of deferred maintenance is a win-win strategy to preserve this development. So with that said, we're happy to answer any questions as you consider this request.
Thank you, Masuda. May I have a motion to approve the resolution presented by Masuda?
I'll move.
So moved.
Jerry.
Have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Greg. Questions or comments?
Is it's a Jerry Abrahams, you said this is going to have a HAP contract?
Yes,
Section
that is
8, project A, Section 8. Is that in place?
The contract has been in place, but it is as part of this financing, it will be renewed for an additional 20 years.
Any other question or comment? All right, Dawn, could you please do the roll call?
Jerry Abrahams,
Aye.
Cindy Butts, Wendy Clark,
Yes.
Phil DeFranzo,
Yes.
Heidi DeWeingart,
Aye.
Kylie Gosselin,
Yes.
Tim Hodges,
Aye.
Kathy McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Mosquera Bruno,
Yes.
Commissioner Perez,
Yes.
Franklin Perry, Daryl Hill,
Yes.
Lisa Tepper Bates,
Aye.
Greg Ugalde.
Yes.
The vote passes unanimous.
Thank you. Motion carries. Masuda, could you proceed with the next resolution?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The board is being asked to approve an increase of $425,000 in tax exempt bond proceeds to the previously board approved construction loan in the amount of $3.8 million that occurred at the May 2018 meeting. This proposed increase over the current loan amount is to fund construction cost overruns, allow the borrower to utilize the 4% fixed interest rate, and meet the 50% test. We're also asking for approval to extend the construction note, which currently matures on April 1st, for an additional 6 months without penalty to allow for completion of the transaction. This development, just by way of summary, is the conversion of the St. Mary's Star of the Sea School into a 20-unit mixed income housing serving households at or below 60% of area median income in New London. Construction is complete and the property is now 85% occupied. We are taking advantage of the recent IRS guidance that allow supplemental tax exempt bond issues after December 31st, 2020. If the 10% of the total tax exempt bond issuance, if there's that de minimis test, in this case, it does exceed the 10%. Therefore, the project is eligible to benefit from the 4% fixed interest rate. The vote in mortgage committee was unanimous. Again, we're happy to answer any questions as you consider this request.
Thank you, Masuda. Motion to approve this resolution as presented.
Make that motion.
So moved, Heidi.
Thank you, Greg. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments?
So Masuda, this is Bill. They have unpaid cost overruns And so that's why you're doing the gross up?
Correct. Yeah, there was just a number of factors attributed to the delays in construction cost overruns, as well as the impact of the pandemic. They did apply for an HTCC award, so that will also be used to fill the total gap is about 990,000. And so we're only funding a portion of that, given that this is a construction only loan. Once the equity proceeds and the HTCC proceeds, and once kind of that closeout is done, this development is not going to have any permanent financing in place. But yeah, this is just to kind of address those short-term construction cost increases.
But they have gotten their certificate of occupancies, and they've got people there now currently.
Correct. Yeah, they have their certificate of occupancy. It is 85% occupied. It's just now a matter of kind of doing the final closeout and settlement. And Michelle, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to Jerry's questions.
No, you got it, Masuda. They applied for HTCCs. They did fund their change orders along the way to keep the project moving. They did that out of pocket. And in addition, C4C stepped up and provided their funds early. They were supposed to be a permanent lender. They came in and put their funds in early to keep the project going. And since as of yesterday, it's actually 90% occupied now.
Why? I just a question. Why do you have to do a construction loan if you're going to get the end in takeout anyway? Like, what's the delay in the takeout?
Well, the delay in the takeout is not being able to find. The committee authorized a $3.8 million construction loan a few years back. So this is going to just bring in some money so that they can pay off what they need to pay off, and they can't get their equity contribution until the project is operating at a 115. There's various milestones that they need to meet in order for us to get that final capital contribution to take us out.
Okay.
And Michelle, you mentioned that someone put their funds in early, and I didn't catch who that was.
C4C.
Okay.
Capital for Change.
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, Don?
Jerry Abrahams,
Aye.
Cindy Butts, Wendy Clark,
Yes.
Phil DeFranzo,
Aye.
Heidi de Weingart,
Aye.
Kylie Goslin,
Aye.
Tim Hodges,
Abstain.
Kathy McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
Commissioner Perez,
Yes.
Franklin Perry, Daryl Hill,
Yes.
Lisa Tepper Bates,
Aye.
Greg Ugalde.
Yes. Yes.
The vote passes with one abstention.
Motion carries. Thank you, Dawn. Masuda?
Yes, thank you. The board is being asked to approve modifications to CHFA's existing loans to stabilize the financial performance of Heritage Commons that were affected primarily due to the pandemic. Specifically, the action before you is recapitalizing the existing two loans as interest only through 2023 at a reduced interest rate of 4%. And then commencing February 1, 2024, principal and interest will be due monthly based on a 30-year fully amortizing term of 5% for loan M and then 4% for loan N. This proposed modification will reflect a 1.5% rate reduction for note N and then 1.65% reduction for note M, which is further defined in your package. The loans will continue to accrue interest at the applicable rate. The maturity on both loans will be now going out to 2054. Additionally, we're asking the board to allow prepayment prior to June 2024 with a prepayment of 1% plus the related defeasance fees that are associated with note N. This modification is also subject to additional conditions that are outlined in your memo. By way of summary, Heritage Commons is an 89-unit congregate and independent living that's serving elderly in Middletown. Chfa was involved in this financing dating back to 1986. And so we are working with the owner to restructure the mortgage and reposition the property as they consider an exit strategy. So with that said, we're happy to answer any questions for you.
Can I have a motion to approve Masuda's resolution?
Moved. Second.
Okay, comments, questions?
I have my hand up whenever you,
Go ahead, Commissioner Paris.
I mean, I want to understand better, what was their challenge about vacancies? Because everything I read is there's not enough units out there. There are more people looking for affordable rents than they are available. And when I hear somebody's having a hard time with vacancy, then I started to wonder, is that really COVID-19 or is that bad management? Is there something else going on? And I'm sure that the committee looked at it and did its due diligence, but it's still bothering me that the primary reason is vacancy. And don't give me this COVID-19 thing, because people were moving if they had to. And yes, maybe if the vacancy rate was in 2019, late 2019, early 2020, but at least now for almost a year, yeah, there've been some spikes, but COVID has not been the main reason for people not to move if the rents are affordable and the apartment's in a good shape, blah, 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 blah. So can someone at least make me feel a little more comfortable what the issue is around vacancy?
Sure, I would be happy to expand on that, Commissioner Perez. So the increase in vacancy levels is attributed to a number of factors. One being that is just the demographics that they serve. That lead time in order to get somebody into a unit could take as long as 6 to 9 months because they are serving elderly. Often these are individuals that are potentially maybe owning their home and now they're having to move into more of an independent level in an independent facility, but these decisions are often made with with their children, and so it's a major life decision because now they're having to go from, again, selling their home into a different type of style, and again, that decision process can take months. They also lost one of their sales director. This was sometime in 2020, and at the same time, they also saw a lot of uptick in residents passing away. The average age in this development is in the upper 80s, and so that was a contributing factor. Prior in 2020, their occupancy levels were around 95%, and then as the pandemic was kind of coming into play, their occupancy levels continued to increase. Their cash flow dropped. This development also received a couple of forbearances through the forbearance program that we put together as a result of the pandemic. So there were a combination of factors. In the meantime, they have spent over $1.5 million to upgrade the common areas and make some improvements to the units. They have also hired a new director. There was a facility assisted living facility in Middletown that closed recently, so they were able to get some of the residents to relocate to the program. They also have a program that's called Daytimers. Basically, it's a way for them to market the property and kind of do an open house. They had to put that program on pause during the pandemic. That program has since reopened. Their current occupancy has improved to about 91.2%. So they're definitely moving in the right direction. And again, given the population that they serve, it's just that this property is gonna continue to, move at a slower pace than other properties. And so again, we work very closely with the owner. We believe that their plan that they've submitted to Chfa is reasonable. They're gonna get there. They just need some financial assistance to make the to relieve some of the burden on them until they can achieve their goals. And at the same time, they're also looking at selling this property. They had a buyer that walked out, and so they're continuing to entertain offers because this is something that Belfonte companies, I mean, they're primarily an owner and operator of apartments. This is a kind of a different level of care, and they feel that while they're very committed to owning and operating this development, this is not something that's in their wheelhouse.
Another thing you say to me that makes sense to me is that they lost a salesperson, because the model for this type of housing hasn't changed. It's always taken a longer time for people to sell their home and move because it's the elderly. That hasn't changed. COVID-19 might have impacted that a little bit, but that's been the model. So let me rephrase my question. Other similar development like this one, are they having the same issue? Or they're so unique that they're the only ones in the entire state of Connecticut that are able to, that have had difficult getting people to sell their homes? Because everything I read is homes are selling like hotcakes. And there's not enough inventory. So even for the elderly, they're being able to sell their homes once they put it on the market. So I'm really, I mean, to be honest with you, I think the issue here was they were thinking of selling it. And when you're thinking of selling a property, you don't put as much attention and effort into it. And you don't replace people as fast as you normally do than if you think you're going to keep it. You know, and if that's the case, then it's fine. I mean, there was a bad decision, but at least I understand it better. But I don't think that's anything to do with the model. The model's been the model. So and you may not have the answer today, but I would like to know the answer, because to be honest with you, I'm really serious considering voting against this, and which is fine because it appears it's going to pass anyway. But I would like to know, for my own personal education, if this is happening with all this type of model housing, and therefore we should start planning for it, or really if this was because they were selling it, and because they were selling it, they were not paying as much attention to it as they would have otherwise.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
we do
Commissioner Masuda, or John, did you want to speak?
Yeah, could you answer my question, Sayla, please? She was going to answer.
I think I was going to answer the question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
I think the specific aspects of the pandemic that caused the prolonged vacancy was the fact that there was the reluctance of family to bring in elderly people into the home to show new units. So they had a period of time where it was very difficult for them to market their vacant apartments, because both the reluctance of bringing outside people into the facility to protect their existing tenants, but also reluctance on family members to bring their elderly parents into the facility to view the apartments. And that, I understand, it was the real issue for like 20 months that caused, that really prohibited them from having the normal kind of turnover and lease up that you would expect in a facility like this.
Hey, John, and that's why I'm trying to be fair. I changed my question a little bit to say, other similar development had the same issue? And you guys may not know the answer. So if we have 5 similar, we have 2, we have 10, whatever the number is, did they do that same 20-month period have the same issue with vacancies? If the answer is yes, then you know what? I mean, I like the answer, but it's an answer, right? If the answer is no, that they were so lucky that they're the ones that got hit different than anybody else, then my argument is there's something else going on.
Masuda, do you have the answer, or do you need to bring that at the next meeting?
No, I have the answer. Let me share that. So we do have 4 other developments in the portfolio. These are part of the assisted living demo. These are all subsidized by state. CHFA has the mortgage. So for example, there are 4 properties, one in Glastonbury, Hartford, Middletown, and Seymour. In March of 2020, these are all assisted living facilities, by the way. In March of 2020, all these developments were nearly 100% occupied. In March of 2021, occupancies began to decline from 80% to 92%, depending on the property and the location. In March of 22, in some cases, some of these properties are continuing to experience decline in occupancy from 65%, 91%, 86%, 96%. A lot of the properties had to dip into their sinking fund to be able to fund their operations, and they lost residents due to COVID. So this particular demographic was, they're vulnerable and they were negatively impacted by the pandemic for the reasons that we discussed. So we are continuing to monitor the portfolio, and Heritage Commons was no different. Again, in their case, they just had a few other things that happened simultaneously that just kind of compounded the issues that they were working through.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, this is Kylie. I just wanted to note for George too that I asked the same question. We had a similar conversation in Merge Committee about that, and specifically how this project compared to others in the same market, and had a similar conversation. And ultimately the group was able to get comfortable with moving this forward vis-a-vis the comments that Masuda just made and some of the information. My question that she provided, my question though, Masuda, that I didn't ask in the Mortgage Committee that might be relevant here is, might we expect to see some of these other, you noted the different challenges, and we discussed the different challenges with this property in addition to the market challenges. Might we see some of the other properties in this portfolio or this group of assisted living also run into similar challenges, or do we feel that they're at this point stabilizing enough and their reserves are healthy enough to carry them through without additional assistance like is being requested here?
Yeah, we are continuing to monitor their performance. I am not aware that we would be bringing a modification request to the board for some of these other assisted living facilities. I mean, they're well capitalized. They do benefit from state subsidy, whereas Heritage Commons, this was an 80-20 deal. So the majority of the units are market rate. There's a very small percentage that is affordable in this development. So I would say the factors are a little bit different in the other four compared to this one, but we'll continue to be monitoring performance.
Any other comments or questions?
I have one last general comment or question, I guess, is that how does the authority look at instances where we're doing an interest rate reduction, and at the same time we know that the for-profit developer is looking to sell it, and to the extent that they sell it is, and I know that there's a prepayment penalty here of 1%, but we're doing a fairly substantial interest rate reduction. And I'm sure this is going to come up in other instances. And so how do we balance the desire for an operator to sell it, which we probably want to do, get prepaid, but we're also essentially lowering their borrowing costs prior to that? And just generically, how do you manage that tension?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do consider that because we want to be able to we want to help the developer, but we also want to make sure that there's an upside for CHFA, because these resources are what helps us, keep, fulfill our mission. So the loans will continue to accrue interest, and so that portion is not going to go away. Hazima, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to.
But they accrue at the reduced rate, not at the original rate.
No, they accrue at the
okay,
stated rate.
understood. Okay, so they do accrue. Okay.
Yeah, we for this particular deal, when we were working with the borrower, one of the things that was clear to us when the borrower indicated to us that they were considering to sell the property, we were concerned that there might be an upside from the sale. So we did build in some clawback provisions to make sure that if in an event that actually occurs, we are entitled to the amount of subsidy that we provided in connection with the modification.
Okay, so we get reimbursed for our modification.
Yes.
Prior to the seller realizing any equity value.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Hassan. Thank you, Jerry. Any other comments? All right, John, please do the roll call.
Jerry Abrahams.
Aye.
Cindy Butts. Wendy Clark.
Yes.
Phil DeFranzo.
Yes.
Heidi DeWeingart.
Aye.
Kylie Gosselin.
Yes.
Tim Hodges.
Aye.
Kathy McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
Commissioner Perez,
Yes.
Franklin Perry, Daryl Hill,
Aye.
Lisa Tepper Bates,
Yes.
Greg Ugalde.
Yes.
The vote passes unanimously.
Motion carries. Thank you, Don. Masuda, you have the last resolution.
I do, thank you. So the board is being asked to authorize the CEO to extend the maturity date on the construction loan from April 15, 2022 to October 15, 2022, and increase the interest rate on the construction loan by 50 basis points from 4.35% to 4.85%. Additionally, the board is being asked to authorize the CEO to extend the interest-only period on the permanent loan from April 15th to October 15th, 2022. However, the interest rate will remain unchanged at 4.35%. This proposed recommendations are intended to accommodate the Fannie Mae and City loan takeout, as well as allow CHFA to complete the final closing on these mortgages. So the property continues to remain fully occupied. This development was originally financed by Chfa back in 2016. This is for the adaptive reuse of a vacant mill in Bridgeport. I know many of you are familiar with this transaction, and we hope that this is really the last time that we're coming to the board for the authorization to extend the loan. There were just a number of factors that continues to be outside of the developer's control that this additional time is needed in order for them to wrap up. AFL-CIO, who's the bond purchaser, their investment committee has notified that they've approved CHFA's request to extend the payment terms for 6 months at an increased rate of 50 basis points. This is an update that has occurred since the board mailing. So again, we're continuing to work with all the parties here. We've been in active conversation with the developer, with their investor, with their lender, and again, trying to get this to move as fast as they can, just given all of the requirements that they have to work through to be able to take CHFA out. And we believe that 6 months is an adequate window in order for all of this to occur. So with that said, we're happy to answer any questions.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved, it's Heidi.
Heidi moved.
I'll
And
second.
Mike second. Thank you. Questions? Comments? Hearing none. John, could you please do the roll call?
Barry Abrahams,
Aye.
Cindy Butts, Wendy Clark,
Yes.
Phil DeFranco,
Yes.
Heidi DeWeingart,
Aye.
Kylie Goslin,
Yes.
Tim Hodges,
Abstain.
Kathy McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
Commissioner Perez,
Yes.
Franklin Perry, Daryl Hill,
Aye.
Lisa Tepper Bates,
Yes.
Greg Ugalde.
Yes.
Vote passes with one abstention.
Motion carries. Thank you, Don. Masuda, thank you very much. Thank you to the staff for all the work that you guys have done to make sure that we proceed with these projects. Next item on the agenda is a legislative update, and Rob is going to give us the update.
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to give the board a very brief federal update. As Nandini noted in her ED report, CHFA staff members attended NCSHA's annual legislative conference in Washington, D.C. earlier this month. This was actually the first time that the conference was held in person since the beginning of the pandemic. So it was great to get an opportunity to meet with various colleagues from across the country, hear from NCSHA staff members, members of Congress, the GSEs, and administration officials about the affordable housing landscape in the country. But perhaps more importantly, CHFA staff used that time in DC as an opportunity to engage with our congressional delegation members and their staffers. So notably, on one of the mornings we were down there, we had a briefing we held with staff members from all 7 congressional offices. Since many of the staff members were new, we gave them a primer on CHFA and our programs, also gave them an update on My Home CT, talked a little bit about the impact of our programming in their districts, and pitched them on our federal legislative priorities, which, as you may recall, include the Affordable Housing Credit Improvement Act, which would increase LIHTC by about 50% or so, and the Neighborhood Homes Investment Act, which would create a tax credit, a LIHTC-like tax credit that would finance the construction and rehabilitation of single-family homes in low and moderate income neighborhoods. In addition to the staff briefings we had the opportunity to engage and meet with 4 of our 7 congressional delegation members. We met virtually with Senator Murphy and Congressman Courtney, and actually secured 2 in-person meetings, one with Congressman Larson and the other with Congressman Himes. And in those meetings, we again talked with them about My Home CT, about what CHFA has done in their districts, and had a discussion about the prospects of including our legislative priorities in any large social infrastructure bill, a second Build Back Better or a revised Build Back Better bill, if you will. I think what we learned from the members of Congress is that any such bill is likely to be scaled down, rebranded, and focused quite a bit on combating inflation. So we took that as an opportunity to pitch them on the anti-inflationary aspects of the bills that we are in favor of. The fact that they would increase housing supply and presumably curb housing costs. And positively, I think we got a signal last week of the success of our visit to DC as Senator Murphy signed on to the Neighborhood Homes Investment Act. So we were excited about that. And then finally, I'll mention a couple other developments from this month. Hazim alluded to the fact that the president signed the FY22 omnibus spending bill, which, among other things, included the LIBOR fix that he discussed, and also had significant investments in increases in funding for HUD, including for the home program. And then just earlier this week, you may have read that President Biden published his FY23 budget. And though it's often said that president's budget is not worth the paper it's printed on as soon as it's introduced, a budget is a statement of priorities. And I think positively, the president's budget proposes a 34% increase in HUD's funding, included and also includes a significant expansion in the Housing Choice Voucher Program. So those are positive signs going forward, and we will continue to monitor those developments, the appropriations process, and the bills that we are touting as the year goes on. And that's my report, Madam Chair, and happy to take any questions that anyone might have.
Thank you, Rob. Questions, comments? Yes, go ahead, Greg.
So Rob, do you schedule follow-up with the other 3 elected officials?
We do. We actually have met with 2 of the other 3 previously in the fall. And so we will, as the year goes on, schedule additional meetings with folks. We try to engage with them on a regular basis, at least once a year. So we had, with the folks that actually we met with, other than Senator Murphy, we had already engaged with them fairly recently. So it's certainly a priority of ours to continue to keep in touch with those folks.
Any other questions? Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Next is I need to approve the consent agenda. Can I have a motion? Have a second?
Second.
Comments or questions on the consent agenda?
This is Deputy Treasurer Hill. Just as this is my first meeting, I see the financing. That's the first item on the consent agenda. Am I correct in assuming that's been previously presented to the board?
Yes.
Thank
you. Any other comments? Don, could you please do the roll call?
Jerry Abrahams,
Aye.
Cindy Butts, Wendy Clark,
Yes.
Phil DeFranco,
Yes.
Heidi DeWeingart,
Aye.
Kylie Goslin,
Yes.
Tim Hodges,
Aye.
Kathy McKinnon,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
Commissioner Perez,
Yes.
Franklin Perry, Daryl Hill,
Aye.
Lisa Tepper Bates,
Aye.
Greg Ugalde.
Yes.
Vote passes unanimously.
Motion carries. Thank you, Dawn. Before we adjourn, anyone has any issue or any comments or anything that you want to bring to the board or to the staff? Okay, so we are all eager to go home. So please mark your calendar for the May 18th, which is the board retreat, and we really hope that you can all make it. We have a great agenda. We will be at one of the developments that CHFA has funded. So it will be a great opportunity to see the work that we are all doing. So with that, I'm going to ask you, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Just say
Aye.
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 thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.